Hello everyone, I'm Toastmaster Kajjora. Serving as your SAA, that's Sergeant at Arms, and the Zoom Master for today's meeting. I'll be reading the club mission now. Leadership Speak provides a supportive and positive learning experience in which members are empowered to develop communication and leadership skills, resulting in greater self-confidence and personal growth. Our leadership statement states that the premier club for experienced Toastmasters is to become better self-directed leaders. We are an advanced club focused primarily on leadership development in everything we do. Please note that our timer has the virtual hand raised so we can all immediately see who is keeping the time, and I shall also be spotlighting the timer. Our Toastmaster of the day will also lead our meeting in the person of Toastmaster Mrinal. Can you please welcome him to the podium? Our Toastmaster of the day, Toastmaster Mrinal.
Thank you, Kajjora. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all of you with new episode of meeting of our Leadership Speak. And today, I'll play a role as a Toastmaster of the day. I am from India. Today, we discuss about one of the most critical component of leaderships. And that's our club presidents already follow that. Servant leaderships. Yes, you all are right. We are all talking about servant leadership. Serving leadership skills plays an important role in our career and also in our personal progress of Toastmaster. Among the most important benefit of being a member of Toastmaster organization is the opportunity to lead and to serve. The heart of the leadership is based on serving others, not serving us. It's always service leader always try to motivate others, try to serve others. And they always praise for others, not for own glories. One of the important articles from Heroes as Leaders to Servant as Leader by McGee and Dionne wrote that true heroes of the new millennium will be servant leaders. Why? The question is why? Quietly walking out of the spotlight to transform our world. Servant leadership should listen without any judgment, always be authentic, build community, and also share power and develop peoples. That's always they are looking for as a servant leader. This requires the willingness to ourselves, your comfort zone, taking initiative to serve others. That's we already doing. So without further ado, I just welcome today to raise the toast, Toastmaster Paramjit. Toastmaster Paramjit is a designer and development management, NLP trainer, and growth mindset coach. He has been Toastmaster for last 2.5 years, already completed one path, and also achieved a Triple Crown award for 2 years. Division and area international winners in humorous speech contest. When I asked to Mr. Paramjit, how do you want to serve as a servant leader? He told, as a servant leader, I would like to be a spare tire who can use anywhere. I don't complain or compare with other used tires, but really to fit wherever required to serve this. So now I welcome to raise the toast, Toastmaster Paramjit. This podium is yours.
Good morning, Toastmaster of the day and my fellow Toastmasters. As a child, when I used to go to the Sikh temple, I was always wondering, the priest who was having so much of power, so much of respect, he will always say, I am your Das. Das means servant. I was overwhelmed by his humbleness. He has so much power, but still he was always saying, I am your servant. Let me know, what can I do for you? How can I help you? As I grew up, I understood that the role of a Sikh priest is not just to do the spiritual ceremonies, but to embody the true essence of a servant leader who dedicate themselves for selfless service and putting the needs of others before his own needs. They led with compassion, humility, and wisdom, and always helping the people to grow on their spiritual path and supporting them in their joyful as well as in the challenging times, without any expectation of his personal gain. In my life journey, I didn't find much of servant leaders like them. However, 3 years in Toastmasters, I have come across so many individuals who are the true essence of it, servant leadership, who go extra mile every time to help others without thinking of their own gains or without thinking of their own individual needs. And few of them are sitting across the other side of the screen. So I propose to offer our gratitude and appreciation to all those individuals, all those servant leaders who embody the true spirit of servant leadership. So I request everyone to unmute yourself and raise your glasses and repeat after me, to the servant leader.
To the servant
leader.
To the servant leader.
Servant
Cheers.
leader.
Leader, to the
Cheers.
servant leader.
Over to you, Toastmaster.
Thank you so much. Now I coming to our next role player who will play critical role. So time to start the meeting, and as well as also watching carefully time for each and every role players. So now I welcome the timer of the day, Toastmaster Vivian Robinson. When I asked about servant leader, she told, as a servant leader, Vivian believes servant leaders are unselfish, available to serve others, and willing to take an additional responsibilities. As a servant leader, for today's meeting, Vivian is actually serving as a timer. Over to you, Toastmaster Vivian.
Thank you so much, Mr. Toastmaster. Fellow Toastmasters and guests, I will serve as your timer for today. I'll time the speeches as mentioned in the agenda and will display the time signals accordingly. There is one exception. Our speaker number 3 has requested that she has the green card at 16 minutes, again at 18 minutes, then the yellow, followed by the red. That's the one exception as I do the timing. For all the other speakers, when you reach your minimum time, the background you see will be the green background. When you are halfway, you will see the yellow background. And of course, when you reach your specific time, you will see the red background, and you have 30 seconds to conclude. Back to you, Toastmaster of the day.
Thank you so much. Please clap for Toastmaster Vivian
Okay,
for
thank
short
you.
and crisp introductions as a timer. Now we are coming to our first leadership speaker, Toastmaster Marianna Burka. Toastmaster Marianna Burka is a Toastmaster since October of 2018. She enjoys participating at club meeting with a goal to improve her public speaking ability, and also enjoys taking on various roles that we already know. She is a very active member and always participate with his fireside. Today, she will be presenting a speech from Persuasive Influence Level 3. She will be discuss different leadership style and related conflict resolutions. The length of the presentation's timer, please note, 16, 18, 20. 16 minutes green, 18 minutes yellow, and 20 minutes red. So speech will be evaluated by Toastmaster Banasree Banerjee. So now I welcome Toastmaster Marianna Burka, speech titled Good Leader. Good Leader, Marianna Burka.
I am a proud member of Leadership Speak.
Can I read out the objectives of your speech?
I'm sorry?
As an evaluator, can I read out the objectives?
So for leadership speaker, it's not required. We come to the later. Yeah. Thank you.
So can I start?
You can start.
Thank you. So I am a proud member of Leadership Speak, but my forte is not talking about leadership. Many of you better equipped through your everyday life than I am. I prefer to talk about nutrition, wellness, lifestyle. However, I was assigned this role for today. And I figured when I saw that, oh, I can do it. After all, leaders need nutrition too. And then a Toastmaster of the day picked the theme, leadership. And I am a control freak. Though I am softened up in the last few years since I joined Toastmasters. But giving out control from my hand, I don't know about it. That's a challenging one for me. But one thing I never shy away from is a good challenge. Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and most welcome guests, or might I say, fellow leaders. 3 years ago, my daughter, Victoria, who loves horses, lives for horses, was at a crossroad. She wanted to change workplace because she wanted to further develop her professional life, her riding ability, her training ability. And for that, she needed to change. At age 22, she was already managing a mid-size, mid-level competition stable. She is a good worker, so she had options where she could go to further her career. And she had options, but she also had expectations. Wherever she went, she needed not just to improve her riding and training abilities, but she also had to earn enough money to cover her single lifestyle, her car payment, which is a truck, huge one, and of course, to cover all the expenses of her horse. But as I mentioned, she is a good leader, a good worker, so she had offers, several ones. And her final decision came down to an experience which one of her visit to a possible employer, when she saw her probable future boss carrying a water bucket to give a drink to a horse. And that's what she thought, that this is where I want to work, where the leader is not just sitting up high, where the leader takes part of everyday work, because any leader who knows how to do a small jobs understands the employees, the group members better. Did my daughter identify at that time, oh, her new boss is a servant leader? Probably not. But today, I will talk about what is servant leadership. And in order to do that, I will talk about a couple of other leadership styles. So in comparison, we can see the importance or the differences of servant leadership. Well, our Toastmaster of the day already mentioned it, but servant leadership is when a leader cares more about the good of the team than his or her own enrichment. So we are going to talk about today traditional leadership, which we all know by default, ethical leadership, and of course, servant leadership. So what are the characteristics of the traditional leadership? It usually, this is what we always used to. This is profit-oriented, and success is measured through money. Or the other type of traditional leadership where actually it's needed, as like the police department, where you cannot really have servant leadership. You need decisive leader on the top, or at the army. So traditional leaders are usually highly trained, very egocentric, and commanding. They are not discussing possibilities. They tell. They are authoritative, and they like things to happen the way they like it. It almost reminds me of someone from a long time ago, when I always liked the things happen the way I imagine them. Now, ethical leadership, I mentioned here, but this not really a leadership style in itself. There is no corporation that say that we are ethical. Any corporation, any organization can be and should be ethical, regardless of the secondary or the main style of leadership. Because an ethical leader is always based on integrity. That integrity shows the values. The words of action has to be aligned consistently. It's not enough to talk the talk. It's important to walk the walk, to demonstrate integrity. The ethical leader also respectful, and that not demanding respect from the group of people, giving respect to everyone, regardless of the position at the organization, and giving respect by listen and include everyone in a discussion. An ethical leader also transparent. It's about communication flow, being open, accepting feedback, sharing all the information that people need to perform their responsibility. And of course, honesty makes a leader worthy of the trust of the group members. They are presenting, honest people presenting facts. They are communicating with everyone the same way, including the competition. And now talking about servant leadership. When I started my research regarding servant leadership, I thought this must be something new. It probably came from this woke society we all love and hate, because we love the freedom of speech, but it restricts us time to time. But as I find, servant leadership, the name was coined by Robert Greenleaf in the 60s. And he started a company where we're teaching servant leadership in the early 70s. So it is not such a new thing. Though, if we look at the history, it's just a moment of time in time. But 60 years is a respectable time. So servant leader trust the group members that they do the work at the best of their ability, without constant checking, nagging, or controlling. Some of the historical leaders you might know: Mother Teresa, Mahatma Gandhi, Nelson Mandela. I guess you all heard about them. And they all treated everyone equally. And if you think about history, you realize that Mahatma Gandhi died way before servant leadership was coined, but he lived the servant leadership style. Just like my daughter, I think, didn't know anything about servant leadership, but she picked an organization where it was practiced already. A servant leader gains authority by treating everyone respectfully, instead of forcing a power over the group members, and measures the success of the team and developments and growth. Also, servant leadership is decentralized. As I already mentioned, in servant leadership, everyone knows what they have to do. They are not nagged, commanded regularly from the top. Everybody knows their job, and the leader assumes that everyone knows and does the best what they can. And if they have an issue, they will come for help, because a servant leader always listens when somebody needs help. And most importantly, all that assures that the group members will know that everyone matters, no matter who they are and what role they play. Now, why are we talking about all this? Why is it important? And you know, when we want to find a root of something, we don't just ask why. We ask why and why and why, because we have to go deep inside what we want. And we are talking about leadership style because it gives direction to an organization. Like traditional organization, profit-oriented. And if somebody looking for that, they know where to go. And volunteer organizations, usually servant leadership organization. And why does it matter? It matters because it defines the future workforce. Exactly in my daughter's case, if you remember, she looked and she had many options, and she chose based on the leader characteristic, and that's important. And why is it important that like-minded people work in the same place? because that will create symbiosis in a workplace. And that is important. That said, it doesn't matter how good a leader or how good the organization. Conflict will happen as long as humans involved in the organization. Conflict will happen. And the leader has to figure out the beneficial conflict resolution. In traditional leadership, conflict resolution is pretty easy or simple. You do what you said you were told, or there are other workplaces. No issue, no argument, no long talks. But with a servant leadership time, it's different. A leader not just accepts conflict, actually it realizes that conflict is beneficial because it is a building. It can build the group productivity if it is handled properly. So first of all, we have to acknowledge the conflict and we have to talk about it. Then a servant leader has to realize that he's not always right. When he's trying to solve a conflict, the goal is not to win that resolution, not always being right. Just find the middle way. And that requires every member of the team is to be open-minded, to compromise, because without compromission, there is no real solution. We always have to let go certain things. But most importantly, and this is when the mission statement of every organization is important, because if we have a conflict within an organization and we cannot seem to find our way, that is when we have to look back on the mission of the company, a mission of the organization, because whatever solution we have, that has to be aligned with the original goal of the organization was created for. So in conclusion, whatever leadership style an organization using, it can work and it can fail at the same time, depending on the mission of that organization and the integrity of the leader. And we have to realize that conflict is not a bad thing in itself. How we encourage its existence and how we solve it, that matters. If we are an open-minded, transparent leader with clear goals, accountability, accountable for our responsibilities, treat everyone equally and fairly, we will be called, maybe only just behind our back, a good leader. And nobody wants more than that. Back to you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Wow. I just urge you, everyone, please unmute yourself and clap for our legacy speaker, Toastmaster Marianna. Why? We all know she's a specialist in nutrition domain. And today, she proved one more thing. She also having a good knowledge of servant leadership. Thank you, Marianna, for sharing your transformation story with us as a servant leadership. Today, learn a lot of new things, which is very important as individual persons try to implement. You are talking about some of the things, decentralizations, which is a USP of servant leaders. Always people first. You're sharing the great examples of Mahatma Gandhi, Mother Teresa, Nelson Mandela, how they served their countries without any personal benefits. In the organizations, servant leadership means how you want to create impact 1 + 1 = 11, not 2. That's the role of servant leaders. In our DNA, we all have servant leaders, but how to serve, that's matter the most. Today, I want to share another examples. Purposefully, I not call one person's. I just want to see the reaction of a person's. And without power, how you can serve that. So now I welcome the grammarian of the day, Toastmaster Muhammad Asif Syed. He is also play a very critical role and leads the education committee of Leadership Speak. Asif helps a business to increase profit using effective risk management and efficient processes. He also helps executive grow in their career using growth mindset. The best servant leaders anticipate what they need from them and proactively offer to help without being asking. You can see in the chat box also, without asking the role of grammarian, he already mentioned Devote in the chat box. So that's I must say, it's a great example of servant leaders. So podium is yours. Toastmaster Asif.
Thank you, Toastmaster of the day. Today's word of the day is devote. Devote is very apt for the servant leadership. The meaning of the word devote is give all or most of one's time or resources to a person or an activity. Now, for example, you could use it as the leader, the servant leader devoted most of his time and energy in the team's success. Another example could be he quit his job to devote himself to music. It's just not only to an activity, it could also be the word, it could also be used for a specific coverage. For example, this land is devoted for setting up a playground for kids. So I encourage everyone to use the word devote. Apart from this, as a grammarian, I will be looking forward for some grammatical errors as well as the pretty good use of words as well. Over to you, Toastmaster of the day, and I will give my report when called upon.
Thank you so much for devote 2 hours of your times for now for Leadership Speak. So now I welcome our first speaker of the day, Toastmaster Muhammad Azimuddin. So prior to Muhammad Azimuddin, I just want to call his evaluator, Toastmaster Kenneth Kajjora. Kenneth Kajjora is from Uganda, eastern part of Africa. As a servant leader, he believes is connecting with people and helping them to grow. So please join me to welcome Kenneth Kajjora. Please explain your role.
Thank you, Mrinal. Toastmasters and our most distinguished guests on this call. Our first speaker, Muhammad Azimuddin, devoted himself to write a speech. And today, he will deliver a speech that inspires the audience. What will I look out for, Muhammad? I will look out for an engaging content, Muhammad being entertaining and interactive. Your speech is 5 to 7 minutes. Over to you, TMOD.
Thank you. So just one correction. So speech duration for Muhammad Azimuddin is 15 minutes. So now I want to welcome mechanical engineer by profession, joined Toastmaster in 2006 And since that time till a Toastmaster served a different role in the leadership role in Toastmaster, starting from club level officers, area governor, logistic managers of District 116. Awarded as the best leader and best Toastmaster of the year. Joined Leadership Speak to improve his leadership skill. So now, everyone, please welcome Muhammad Azimuddin, how to write a winning speech. Muhammad Azimuddin, how to write a winning speech. Back to you.
So my slides are now visible?
Yes, perfectly visible.
Okay, thank you. Fellow Toastmasters and Toastmaster of the Day guests, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. How to write a winning speech. When I joined Toastmaster, I was curiously trying to know how to write a winning speech. I joined in 2006, and since that, I was very much curious. Today, I'm going to present you the aspects of organizing a winning speech. So what is a winning speech? It's a great illustration of stories with a clear and relevant message connected to the audience and delivered with the essence of humor and emotion. So many of the world champions, they say that a Toastmaster's winning speech is the audience's property. So you have to deliver as the audience wants. So it has to be very simple in language so that the audience should not need any dictionary. Your audience are 6 billion people of the world. And you have to consider their educational level, their understanding level, their cultural differences, and prepare your speech accordingly. You can use similes in your speech, and it has to be very easily understandable, daily life stories, and humor and emotion will be added in it. And the delivery should have a very good choreography with voice modulation and body language. So the question is, why should I present it today? Believe me, I am not a world champion of public speaking. I only tried in 2007 and I went up to the division level. And after that, I didn't try. But there is only one reason for what I want to present today is my trainings. So who are my trainers? I want to give you the names, 7 names of the trainers, of my trainers that I have taken the training from these trainers. They are Craig Valentine, Randy Harvey, Lance Miller, Mohammed Kahtani, Darren Tate, Ramona J. Smith, and Verity Price. So who are these people? They are all world champions of public speaking. And look at this picture. The last year, I attended the training writing a winning speech from Verity Price. Maybe in 2 weeks, you will see her again. So what do you need to write a speech? Good question. First, you need a paper and pencil. I'm not making a joke. Every world champion, they said that they wrote their speech and then revised it 100 times before presenting it to the stage. Every time when they took this speech to their mentors, they revised it. So if you want to write a winning speech, you need to revise this speech maybe 100 times. And after that, the speech will be a winning speech. And then you need 3 anecdotes, means short stories. 3. I will give a list of the anecdotes. You can choose 3 from it, and you can make your own winning speech. So all these anecdotes should be your failure stories, because this failure story creates emotion in the audience and bring the audience closer to you, and then you can give your message. And take care that all these 3 anecdotes should be delivered within 5 minutes, so that the remaining 2 minutes you can develop your opening and your message. And then you need one connecting statement. On the connectivity with the audience, we have learned from different presentation from our own members in this club, the same importance of the connectivity is here. When you deliver your failure story, the audience will ask you that you deliver your own failure story. What is to do with this story to me? And then you will connect your story with your audience, and then your audience will be inside your story. And then you need one message phrase. So I have brought 3 lists, one for the anecdotes, one for the connecting statement, and one for the message phrase. And you need to choose 3 anecdotes, one from the connecting statement and one message phrase, and then combine it into your speech. How? Let us see. So just like Newton's laws of motion governs all the physical world, in the same way, this structure governs all the winning speeches. Opening, body, and conclusion. There is no excuse from this structure. So after you deliver your opening, you will deliver your first anecdote. And then you will spell or your message phrase at the end of the anecdote, or you will give impression that you are leading your anecdote to give you this message. And then you will deliver your second anecdote. Not necessarily these 2 anecdotes are connected in subjects. You can have 2 different subjects. And then you will do the same. Then you will deliver the third anecdote, and you will do the same. You will spell your message phrase at the end of this third anecdote. Once you complete your all 3 anecdotes, then you need to connect your story with your audience. You can say only one sentence is enough. One line is enough. And that is, you will say that I have 3 failures and troubles in my life. And how you will connect your story with the audience? By one statement. Are you facing the same troubles? You are connected with your audience. So once you are connected with your audience, this is your responsibility as the speaker, that you must tell your audience what is that one thing you have done to turn your failure into your success. This is interesting. And the audience actually waiting for this. Because audience are also facing the same trouble, and they are having their intention to turn their failure into success, but how? You will tell the message. And then finally, you will give your message. So this is how you will organize your winning speech. So how will you write your first anecdote? Before that, I want to explain the elements of a story. Maybe you are English teacher, you know 10 different elements of a story, but I know only the 6, so I am presenting it to you. Plot, the actual story. Setting is the environment, the surroundings. Characters are the person who are involved in the story. Conflict is the difficulties that the main character faces. And climax is the extreme point of the story. After that, no use to go beyond. You go up to the climax and then you will start wrapping up your story. And then resolution is the solution of the conflict. So let me draw these 6 elements on a graph to elaborate it furthermore. The settings, you will start your story with settings, introduce your character into it, and then immediately inject the conflict into your story. Once you inject the conflict into your story, the story becomes interesting and your story will fly up. It will give a flight to your story up to the climax. Once you are at the climax, you start giving the resolution, means the solution of the conflict. I can give a very simple example, like I took a anecdote of failure in my business. This is my anecdote. So I can explain it in this way, that my business was flourishing in the east coast of Atlantic Ocean with my partner XYZ. In this one line, I already explained the setting, the character, and somehow the story. And then I injected a conflict in this way. Suddenly, COVID came. Now see, I just give one sentence, one line, COVID came and my partner XYZ left me alone. This is the conflict started. And how you face these conflicts, you will go up with your story up to certain level, that is the climax. And then you start giving your resolution. What is the resolution? I never gave up. This is the resolution, is one line. This is the resolution. I never gave up. Now the audience wanted to know that how you regain your business. You just said, I never gave up. With this, you turn your failure into your success. Now see how I explain one anecdote in 4 to 5 lines only. This is what you need to do for one anecdote. And accordingly, you need to create 3 anecdotes for your story. So this is the list of the anecdotes. Dropping out of college, this is a good story. Failure story. Failure in business, failure in relationship, failure in love, failure in purchasing a best car, failure in building housing, failure in finding perfect partners, and many. Flunking out of school, failure in Toastmaster contest. So is there. On the message phrase, roll the dice. It means start it again. Don't give up. Still standing. Pull less, bend more. Reach out. I see something in you. We can fix it. These are the message phrase list available. You can choose one, or you can create your own accordingly. Connecting statement is that when was the last time your life tried to knock you down? Do you know someone in your family broken? These are the connected sentence that you can connect your story with the audience. Okay? So let us see how the world champions have chosen their anecdote. So first is Dhananjaya Hettiarachchi, world champion of public speaking 2014. He chose 3 anecdotes: flunking out of school and joining Toastmasters and unconditional love. And he spelled at the end of each anecdote, I see something in you. And then he connected his story with the audience with the connecting statement. Do you know someone in your life, in your family broken? With this. And then he gave his resolution that everyone has something in him. Second one is Manoj Vasudevan, world champion public speaking 2017. And he chose 3 anecdotes: failure in relationship, failure in finding perfect partner, unconditional love. And his phrase was pull less, bend more. So at the end of each anecdotes, he connected with his phrase. And he connected all the story with his audience, with the connecting statement. Have you seen anyone who pulls more or pulls hard? So this is the connecting statement that he connected his story with the audience. And at the end, he gave the resolution of his anecdotes: pull less, bend more. And the favorite, Ramona J. Schmidt, world champion of public speaking 2018. She chose 3 rounds. Round 1, dropping out of college. Round 2, failure in marriage. Round 3, Toastmasters, failure in Toastmasters contest. And at the end of each round, she connected with the phrase, still standing. And she connected the story with the audience with, when was the last time life knocked you down? The winning depends on how emotional you are creating your audience and how emotionally you are presenting your connecting statement to the audience and your message threads. This is the wonderful presentation from my side. I praise myself. Why? Because I have worked it a lot on this and bringing it to you as my report. So here is the blank. Ladies and gentlemen, you want your photo here? Choose 3 anecdotes, 1 phrase, message phrase, and 1 connecting statement, and write your speech. But before that, don't forget to see Ramona J. Smith's World Championship speech in YouTube. Thank you very much.
Wow. I see you something on you. What an amazing winning speech. Thank you so much for sharing your transformation, real life story with all of us. And I'm still standing. So without further ado, I just welcome our next speaker. She is none other than Hannah Schmidt. So before I'm calling to Hannah Schmidt, I just want to call her evaluator, Asry Aslam. Toastmaster Asry Aslam from Gale Toastmaster Club. He has been Toastmaster for last 7 years. She basically from Sri Lanka, a beautiful city named Gale. Almost 14 years of total in private sector experience. And also right now, he transformed his own journey as a business setup and also online trader. So now I welcome Asry Aslam. The podium is you.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster of the day. Our next speaker, Hannah Schmidt. She's attempting her presentation mastery pathway, the level 3, project 5. Objectives would be for today to focus on using stories in a speech or creating a speech that is a story. Hannah Schmidt may use any type of story, a personal, a well-known fiction, or one of her own creation. Over to you, Toastmaster of the day. The time is 5 to 7 minutes.
Thank you so much. So now I welcome Toastmaster Hannah. Hannah Schmidt is a Toastmaster of 12 years. She is a member of 3 clubs on 3 different continents. She calls herself as a Zoom hopper as she visited clubs in Moscow, Germany, Turkey, Ukraine, Canada, South Africa, India, and what not. She virtually traveled across the globe, well connected with Toastmaster. When I asked about servant leadership, she told, servant leadership, she focused on needs of others, especially team members, before she considers her own. She values others' standpoint and encourages people's. So I welcome Toastmaster Hannah to travel or to zoom off. To travel or to zoom off.
Once upon a time, I had the desire to travel. Actually, I still have it. Traveling alone means to getting the real you. Traveling with a friend makes the road seem so much shorter. Mr. Toastmaster, to travel is my passion, especially now that I'm here, or what you call retired, to roam the world and visit my friends and family overseas. Helga, my friend, pack your clothes. We are going on an adventure. Let us visit our friends down under, also called Australia. Our holiday ended far too soon, and we had to check in and say goodbye. Helga and I were at 2 different check-in counters in Sydney. Both of us were told in no uncertain terms, Madam, you need to collect your luggage in Johannesburg. You cannot check it through to Windhoek, our hometown. Well, who are we to argue? The 14-hour flight from Sydney to Johannesburg was exhausting, full of turbulence. It was a day flight, yet it felt like a nightmare. Arriving in Johannesburg, we followed the line through the check-in or to the arrivals, instead of going through the transit lounge, and the queue was miles long. It took us ages before we reached the conveyor belt in Johannesburg, only to find it empty. A very friendly officer informed us, he said, ladies, your luggage is checked through to Windhoek. And now, with a burst of speed, we arrive at the departure counter to have our passport stamped. We have now officially left South Africa. The 2 escalators going down couldn't go fast enough, yet it was in vain, because the sign at the gate says, gate closed. However, we have missed our plane to Johannesburg, to Windhoek. We are stranded in Johannesburg, and it is a Friday night. It's monthly, and it's at 6 p.m. Hannah, I hear you. And to crown it all, we are illegally in South Africa. We need to have our passport sent again, entered into South Africa, unless we are prepared to sleep on these uncomfortable hard benches. And for everybody to hear us snoring, we hurry back against all oncoming traffic to the arrivals counter to have our passport stamped again. With bad reception and the phone battery running low, we could inform our family in Windhoek that we're not arriving today. Helga, We have to find some accommodation and a morsel to eat. After an extremely short night's sleep and having paid more than a dime for that sleep, we are back at the airport. The officers were very hesitant to believe our story that we had received in Sydney. Ladies, why have you missed your plane yesterday? We were asked more than once. Yet those officers showed some mercy, some compassion with these two senior ladies. We received our new boarding passes without, and I repeat, without any surcharge. On arrival in Windhoek, Helga's bags were on the bench, and mine, they had not even left Sydney. Well, I received them eventually. The year 2020 put an abrupt stop to my dreams of traveling. Yet I console myself. There is another mode of traveling. Being a Zoom master, I now travel via Zoom. And I travel alone. And I have my peace of mind. No more headaches about getting the wrong information at the check-in counters. No more hassles about lost luggage. And should I miss a meeting, it's only my fault. To travel with a friend helps me overcome my misfortunes and makes the way seem so much shorter. I have only one friend to share my adventures with. To Zoom, I travel alone, and I have many friends to share my true life story adventure with. Mr. Toastmaster.
Zoom. Wow, amazing presentation as always from our Toastmaster Hannah. Now we're coming to our last speaker of the day, Toastmaster Bindhu. So before I'm calling to Bindhu, I just want to welcome our evaluator, Raam Lakhanpal. And when I asked Toastmaster Raam, what is your opinion for servant leaderships? And see, he always prefer with a practical example. And he given an example of Brahm, how you serve our club. What are the thought process he is following in our club? And last, he talked about 4 important points as a servant leaderships. First, others first, self second. Listening skill improvement, self-awareness of strength and areas of improvement, and make appropriate adjustment. So these are the 4 learning he already shared with us. So I just urge you, please read the speech objective of our speaker, Toastmaster Bindhu Joseph. Back to you, sir.
Mr. Toastmaster of the day. Firstly, our speaker, Toastmaster Bindhu, devoted umpteen hours preparing for the speech. Speaking from the Persuasive Influence Path, level 5, in speech number 8. She used to prepare to speak professionally. The timing would be 18 to 22 minutes. Toastmaster Bindhu is to present a keynote style speech, exemplifying a professional level that Toastmaster's point of view, present in a style that supports her speech content. And secondly, the prime objective of her speech is for her to practice developing and presenting longer speeches henceforth. Toastmaster of the day, Mrinal, smiling Mrinal, returning.
Thank you so much.
Returning virtual stage to you.
Thank you. So now, our last speaker of the day, please welcome Toastmaster Bindhu Joseph. And he always believed in creativity. So here, whenever she talk about anything regarding herself also, try to bring some creativity. So when I asked about, she told that when you wake up in the morning, look at yourself in the mirror and see an imperfections. Do you feel sad? After a meeting, you see your recorded video. Do you feel irritated or embarrassed? At the end of the day, when you reflect on your actions, do you feel regret? Maybe you shouldn't. And maybe you should listen to my message today. Wow, amazing. I can correlate with my transformation journey with Toastmaster as well. And that's the voice of not you, millions of Toastmasters who are connected throughout the world. Toastmaster Bindhu, let's celebrate the anti-hero. Let's celebrate the anti-hero.
Yes, you are seeing an iron. That's me, shamelessly multitasking. My third Zoom meeting of the evening. I think many of you have been there. But I was still going to hear this Zoom meeting because it was by a friend and she was doing an educational. You know, educational, you don't really have to be present. Was I being inspired? Was she inspiring? Yes, to a certain point. She started talking about you need to have 8 hours of sleep a day. And not only that, she went to follow about 3 balanced meals. It's absolutely essential to have glucose go to your brain for your memory to be at the optimal. Oh God. I felt upset. I was disappointed and I zoomed out. You want to know why? I know this girl. What are you talking about? 8 hours of sleep? 3 to 4 hours? That's the maximum she would probably sleep. And then you're talking about 3 balanced meals? I know for a truth that she's onto one of those fad diets. What is it? Interval fasting? Or maybe a hybrid of interval fasting and Atkins or keto, whatever. I mean, come on, friends, fellow Toastmasters guests. Why do we have to? Why do we have to epitomize perfection? Why do we feel that it's so essential in a leader, in a hero? Heroes. We correlate perfection and heroes. Is it really necessary? Well, it's a question and it's a problem. And if you ask any shrink worth their dime or penny, they're going to say everything is rooted in childhood. They may not be wrong. Because as children, we need heroes. We need people to look up to, people to admire. They might be our parents. More commonly, there might be just fictional heroes in your comic books or in your novels. I mean, haven't you dreamt as a child of being a hero? What about me? Well, have I dreamt of being a hero? Not exactly. Even at that time, I didn't have a body that's going to look great in spandex. But, okay, maybe I might have dreamt of myself in a nice, well-tailored suit, Miss 007, or maybe cute little pantaloons and blink of my eye, grant your every wish. Yes, I know Brahm must be saying, I don't see TV. Wait, Brahm, I'll come to something you can relate to just shortly. So yes, we do need a hero. We have needed a hero. But what's wrong with these heroes? Now, before all that, let me just ask a question. Okay, Lucky, I can see you're there. Would you like to answer a question? If you're not free to answer a question, please raise your arm. I can pass it on. Okay, I think he's not available.
I did blow my hand.
Ah, okay, Lucky. So, could you tell us who is your hero and tell me one thing you like about your hero?
Well, my hero is actually my dad. Bless his soul, he's no longer around. I've exceeded his expectation of age. He passed away at the age of 60 and I passed away, and I'm still around at the age of 83. So yes, he was really educated, not in the sense of modern education, but he was a philosopher. He was more on the religious side because he was a taken up child by the temple, raised by the temple. So his look at the life was much different from general people around. So I want to take my dad as my hero. Thank you.
Thank you, Lucky. And I think that your children also consider you as a hero. You have so many values which I can relate to and I would consider worthy of a hero. Now, I want to ask just one more question. And Maria, are you free to answer a question? If not, please raise your hand. I can always pass it on.
Yes.
Okay, now I would also like you to ask you the same question, not exactly the same question. First, I'd like you to tell me who is your current hero?
My current hero.
Yes.
So I have two heroes. One from my professional world and another from Toastmaster world. In Toastmaster world, a person I respect a lot. I need to mention the name of the persons, but I know how much I respect her and how much I think learn from him. And if talking about my hero, currently he's MD of our company. So he started journey from zero level, scratches level, and after traveling to more than 70 or approximately 80 countries, responsibility back to India to serve India. So I'm a great admirer of such a great leader. And at the end of the day, if you not respect yourself, you can't respect others. So even I also believe self-respect, that's important. Self-motivations. Then I can only follow. So for that, you maybe follow other persons, but if you're not in the right direction, you can't follow anyone else. So you start within you, then transform to others.
So now I would like to ask you the important part of my question. What do you not like about your hero?
I think it's a very difficult question for me to answer. So thing is that most of the heroes, mainly I'm in the leadership button, they not share their failures journey. And we always try, even that is the DNA of our human beings also. We love to share our success story, but very few person who prefer to share their failure story. I think that story play a very important role and learn from that mistake and becoming a better version of yourselves. So that part actually I'm not like that, because most of the person, they always hero I'm talking about, they always share the glamorous world. They not share their tough time phases. Very few are the same. So that part actually I'm not liking.
So dear friends, fellow Toastmasters, he has just proved my point. If you take Lucky, He took less than 30 seconds to come up with an answer on what he likes about his hero. Did you notice the pregnant pause before Mrinal spoke about his imperfections? Makes sense. You just cannot relate imperfections to your heroes. Proves my point. Okay, don't let me put myself high up there. I am there in with all of you. I have just exactly the same foible. Let's talk about childhood. As a child, every summer, I would trudge about 1 mile to reach a lending library where I would choose 3 comics, the limit of my mother's card. And then when I came back at home at night, often under the bed sheet with a flashlight, I would go through those comics, and the characters in them, the heroes, they would just leap out of the pages. They were beautiful, they were charismatic, they caves, superpowers, and better than that, they were out to fight justice and doing a pretty good job at it. Fortunately, that phase didn't last long. Over the years, our concept of hero has undergone a dramatic change. In fact, it is metamorphosized. Let's start at the beginning. 1931, you had Superman, 1948, Wonder Woman, and then you had Captain America. What was common about these heroes? They were perfect. I mean, they had it all. They had beauty, and then they had superpowers, fantastic body, and they always were able to achieve apparently very easily achieve their objectives of whether it's capturing villains or saving the universe or saving individual people. They were perfect. And then what happened? Few years later, Marvel became clever and started to humanize its heroes. You had Spider-Man and Batman. They had foibles. They had imperfections. They were insecure. They had a traumatic past. And they weren't afraid of their imperfections either. In spite of that, they had a passion for the greater good, and they would go after just like what the previous heroes did. The difference is they were relatable. They made us just think it's okay if you're imperfect. You can still help others. They started the concept of the anti-hero. You don't need to be perfect. You just have to have that passion and that desire. So now let's talk about the current era. It is the era of the anti-heroes. 2021. Let's talk about Batwoman. She has undergone a lot of changes in the past few years. Over just a period of 5 years, she's undergone several avatars. What about her current avatar? She's skinny, she has boy cut, and she wears a red wig. She's gay. And more importantly, she has a traumatic past, a dysfunctional family. Hey, come on, her twin sister wants to kill her. And added to that, her twin sister is some mastermind villainess as well. I mean, can you get more anti-hero than that? Okay, I can see some bored looks. What is she talking about? All these cartoon characters and other sort of heroes. What about real life? Let's talk about real life. We have anti-heroes in real life as well. Oprah Winfrey. I think all of you know her. An international talk host, philanthropist, self-help guru extraordinaire. She had a real traumatic past before she achieved where she is now with a fan following of millions. In fact, somehow traumatic past is a trademark of celebrity status nowadays. You have Marie Curie, you have Tina Turner, and I mean, innumerable celebrities. They're not scared of their imperfections. In fact, They find their imperfections a way to connect with their fans. Okay, you might be thinking now, with that sort of fame, that sort of money, that sort of glamour, who cares about the anti part of it? Let's talk about anti-heroes who don't have that. You have Frida Kahlo. You may or may not know her. She's a very famous American-Mexican painter. And she had to suffer childhood polio. And Kamala Harris, come on, Southeast Asian woman. She has achieved one of the highest posts in US politics, fighting gender and racial discrimination. Okay, Mrinal, I can see this. That probably means that why all these women? Well, this speech was meant for Women's Celebration Month. I didn't get a slot. No, don't worry. There are equal number of anti-heroes among our less and better half. And to start with, let me talk about someone who has impressed me a lot. Thomas Eland. How many of you know about him? No cheating, no Googling, no chat GPTing. Okay, let me tell you, I'll save you the trouble. He is a distinguished Toastmaster. He is a TED speaker and an exceptional author of a novel. Yeah, by now you would have chat GPT'd and found who I'm talking about. So you must be wondering, what is the anti about him? It sounds all fine. Well, Thomas Eland, he was diagnosed with autism at the age of 13. Autism is very limiting. People with autism, they suffer with a lack of social skills, a lack of being able to connect with others. It's not an easy disorder to have. The fact is, 1 in 59 individuals may have autism or autism symptom disorder or spectrum disorder. In fact, I sometimes feel I have it. My brother actually did have autism. So don't you think it is amazing that Thomas Eland did not allow these limitations to limit him? He, in fact, gave up his job, and now he is totally 100% devoted in helping people face these particular limitations of communication. So, coming to my message and how it applies to me. Am I perfect? Far from it. I have habits in which, even the most logical person would call weird. And as for eccentricities, eccentrics would say you have to redefine the word eccentric. And let's not forget, I am a high-level introvert. Am I perfect? Of course not. Am I scared of these imperfections? Absolutely not. In fact, I have found that these very imperfections have helped me to connect with people. To my friends, family, mentors, Toastmasters, to quite a few of you there who are there on the screen. Imperfections have never limited me. And I want you to really think, take a moment and think. Wasn't there a time in the past when someone near or dear to you, maybe a friend or your child or a loved one, faced a difficulty? It could be failure in exams or lack of promotion or loss of a loved one. It could be not winning a Toastmaster contest, whatever. Haven't you found that at that point of time, your vulnerabilities were the thing that helped you connect with that person, helped you empathize with that person, actually gave you the power to help that person. So, dear friends, fellow Toastmasters and guests, let us not shy away from imperfections. They don't define you. They help you learn, they help you grow, and they help you do great things. Don't you agree that now is a time to celebrate the anti-hero? I mean, come on, you don't need the bite of a radioactive spider or a golden belt or a red cape to do good things. All you require is 3 things. One is you have to have a vision. And then you have to have conviction in yourself. But the most important thing is a 3rd item. You need the passion to carry it through. You have all these 3, you can do outstanding things. Being a hero need not be limited to your dreams. It can be me, it can be you. So, dear friends, fellow Toastmasters and guests, I unfortunately forgot my cup, but let us raise a toast to the era of anti-heroes. Back to you, Mr. Toastmaster of the day.
Yeah, Bindhu. Am I perfect? Or am I perfect? If you follow 3 paths, vision, conviction, passion, you can do outstanding in your life. Wow. Amazing, amazing. Thank you for sharing your transformation journey with us. And now onwards, I'm also celebrates the anti-hero that's already there within us. Thank you. Please, everyone, clap for Toastmaster Bindhu. Wow, amazing, amazing. Now, time for the timer report. Toastmaster Vivian, can you please share the reports for speakers?
Yes. The first speaker, Toastmaster Burka, your time 17 minutes, 22 seconds. Our first speaker, Muhammad, 16 minutes, 18 seconds. Our second speaker, Hannah, 6 minutes, 50 seconds. Our third speaker, Toastmaster Joseph, 19 minutes and 55 seconds. You did receive 2 green lights, one at 16 minutes, another at 18, and you concluded with the yellow light at 19:55. Back to you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you for your detailed reports. For the benefit of the group, can you written in the chat box? Next, the most awaited for this very challenging job for, I know, for each and everyone to select the best speaker of the day. So ladies and gentlemen, please open the vote for the best speaker of the day. So we should wait for another 30 seconds. Yeah, I think it's everyone, most of the members are voted.
30 seconds have elapsed.
I urge you, everyone, please vote. If once completed, it's almost done, please inform me. So I don't know.
I'm sorry, I didn't get that Toastmaster of the day. Did you? Did you ask me to share the results?
Yeah. It's most of the members done, then you can set the results.
Yeah, please go on.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Wow. So today, best speaker winning speech by Muhammad Azimuddin, and also very close contest with Toastmaster Bindhu. Thank you so much for all of them for select the best speaker of the day. And I also must put an amazing speech, winning speech. So can we have 1 or 2 minutes break? 1 minute break or 2 minute break? What do you suggest, Brahm?
Look at the agenda, Mr. Toastmaster of the day, and
yeah, it's almost
if you're
on
past
time.
the time, if you have the time,
No,
sure.
it's almost on time.
The
So I think we
G
can
will
break for,
tell you in your report, anyways.
so you can break for 1 minute.
No problem. Go ahead. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. I think 1 minute is over. It's now time for most important part. That is our most learning part. So now I want to introduce our general evaluator of the meeting, Toastmaster Sandra. Surprising, laughing, curious, compassionate, queen of straight talk, and whatnot, who enjoy studying and knowing people in a deeper passion. She says, this is why she simply must listen with a critical ear of every speech she hears in Toastmasters. She just can't help herself. Help me welcome our G for today, Sandra Valks, with beautiful smile. Podium is yours, Sandra.
Thank you, Mrinal. We've got the two grinners on stage now today. You and I. As GE, it's my honor and my opportunity to walk through the evaluators and get the evaluations of the speeches, which is amazing. And I will be evaluating the evaluators because the speakers will already have their evaluation completed. Today we have Banasree Banerjee evaluating education speaker Marianna Burka. For the past 2.5 years, Banasree has honed her public speaking skills and learned to lead meetings with authority and confidence. These experiences have taught her the value of hard work, determination, and perseverance. She is dedicated to using skills and knowledge to make a positive impact on the world around her, and today, especially to deliver her very best evaluation for Marianna's presentation. Help me welcome Banasree.
Good evening, everyone. And a very good warm evening from my side to my speaker, Marianna Burka. Marianna, I have been talking with you for the last couple of days, and I was getting an idea of what speech you're going to deliver. And I must say that today I'm going to evaluate you on 2 points right now, on your speech development and the visual aids that you have used. Coming directly to the point of speech development, and your topic was good leader, it reminded me of the words spoken by Robert Townsend. where he had said true leadership must be for the benefit of the followers and not to enrich the leaders. Your speech actually took a beautiful journey, took me through a beautiful journey. And I realized that the wonderful journey of your daughter with the horse and the boss, plus the various other leadership styles that you spoke about. And later, when you spoke about the fact that conflict is not to be taken as a negative point, and it should be used for the benefit of the organization, and it can enrich as a symbiotic component in any organization, that ended with the fact that your speech had a proper introduction and a body and a conclusion. So in terms of speech development, I am impressed with the way you have created your speech. The second point of evaluation for me was the use of your aids. Whenever Marianna is on the screen, we know she plays with colors. She makes sure that her attire, the jewelry, the background is always a nice contrast to the viewers. And that really proves that you have taken a lot of effort to come to this point. As an evaluator of Toastmasters, we have to give some points of improvement. And for me, 2 points that I would like to talk to you about is audience engagement. There was a beautiful story how you have given everything, but what I felt was that you could have given some hook question or something where you could have picked up the audience's attention throughout your speech, or maybe to set the tone of your speech. As my suggestion would go, you could have spoken like, do you know what separates a good leader from a mediocre leader? We would have just got engaged with your entire speech. So generally, a hook question is important, or some way you could have used a teaser, maybe a day or two before you could have started using a teaser for your speech, because it's a 20-minute speech and a lot of things can be done. And the second point of improvement, what I would feel is you were very much restricted to one part of the screen. And another point is maybe you could have just checked a little bit of spell check on one of the slides of your screen. So these are the small things which you have done so well over the years, over the months, and you could have just taken your speech to a different level. Overall, fantastic speech, informative speech. I want you to just create some check on your speech, and that's it. Over to you. Over to Toastmaster of the Week.
Over to the GE. But I'll take it. I want to say I get to evaluate the evaluation. Marianna gets the evaluate, or Marianna got evaluated. But I am really impressed, and I hope everybody pays attention. 3 minutes is a real challenge because we just know there's so much that we would like to say. And so you had to rush when you saw that yellow coming up, and then you saw the red, I gotta get stop. But you know, the beauty of it is you started right out telling us that you spent time with Marianna, a couple of days, checking back and forth. And that is what gave you the energy and really to hone in. And I can see that you are going to be getting together with Marianna again to expand. So the purpose here in the brief item is exactly what you did, crunch it down. And if there's interest from Marianna or whoever the speaker is, be ready to reach out and do more behind the scenes, so I was really impressed. Thank you so much, Banasree. I know it was a challenge, but you really came through with the content, the delivery, and exploring in advance. And you're going to, I can tell, be speaking with Marianna because it's valuable for both of you. This isn't just about how can I make Marianna better. This is about how do I do my evaluation for such a long speech in still 3 minutes. So congratulations. Thank you. Okay, our next, Asry, I believe, yes. Kenneth Kajjora, evaluating Muhammad Azimuddin. Kenneth is from Uganda, East Africa, particularly. As a servant leader, he believes in connecting with people and helping them to grow. And I know that for a fact. We all know that for a fact because we see Kenneth jumping in and participating so beautifully. Please help me welcome Kenneth as he evaluates Azim. Kenneth?
Thank you, Sandra. Muhammad Azimuddin, well done. How to write a winning speech. You explained the aspect of organizing a winning speech. You went ahead, introduced the title of your speech. You also showed us the process of writing a speech. You went ahead, you showed us the structure. This was good researched speech with vivid examples. Well done, Muhammad. And you devoted all your time to prepare this. Well done. Muhammad, you had an engaging content and you were entertaining. What could you do better? It would be interesting if you had involved the audience because they had knowledge about writing a winning speech. Those number of ideas could make your presentation interactive and interesting. 2, I felt as you were concluding your speech, you didn't have a conclusion, a right conclusion. Because of time, you were rushing and finalizing. I suggest whenever you're concluding, you give the audience a take home. What do you encourage us to do? What are we learning from this? All in all, you had a wonderful presentation, which was educational, and we all enjoyed. Thank you so much, Muhammad. Over to you, Sandra.
Thank you. Again, a wonderful evaluation. You went through the Oreo cookie. What was done well, and you had lots of compliments. What could you improve, which was the interactive aspect, and how excited you are to see him coming back. You packaged it up beautifully. I don't know what else I could, I find, when you're stating those things, you kind of get into a little bit of a rhythm. You might like to just use your impromptu skills to just coach the front of that a little differently. When you listen to the replay, you might see you did in all the good things. Then you started to get more participatory when you were talking about him getting more interactive. So beautifully done. Well done. Thank you, Kenneth. Now to our next speaker. Asry Aslam is evaluating speaker Hannah Schmidt. He comes from the Galle Toastmasters Club with 7 years of experience out of the city of Galle in the country of Sri Lanka. Welcome. 14 years total in the private sector with 5 years of MNC experience, currently in a small business startup and online trading. In his personal life, married and have a boy kid, I like that, of 8 years of age. Over to you, please, Asry. What do you have to say to Hannah?
Thank you very much, General Evaluator. Hannah Schmidt. She attempted her level 3 project 5 in presentation mastery. It's about storytelling and connecting with the audience. You did that really well. And we all together, more than 30 people, went on a virtual trip. It was Johannesburg, Australia, and finally ended up in Zoom, the well-known best destination in the world. When you started the speech with once upon a time, your hand gestures were perfect. And I realized that you're going to say a beautiful story. I was well connected. And when you said you wanted to go to Australia, you had a short pause. And that gave us a very good transition where we know now the story is going to change. It's a different trip. So we were with you together. And during the airport struggles, you included a dialogue in the speech. So I was just a man watching from the close distance in the airport with you, Hannah. And the gate was closed. When the gate was closed, the slide you tilted nicely to show us the proper signal. So in 4 aspects, the body language was there, perfect, and good transitions, and with the dialogue, the vocal variety, and the use of visual aids. All were done well. To improve a little more, you could have used your favorite tiger's angry tone during your struggles at the airport, which could have created a little more humor in that. And at the end, if you could have summarized the locations and the destinations, we would have ended up in a very clear mind of a journey at the end. So the summation. So to challenge yourself, you can include angry tones, and in the conclusion, to summarize a little bit more, as you had a little more time. And finally, you connected us from the real physical world to the Zoom. Thank you very much for taking us on a wonderful ride. Back to you, General Evaluator.
Thank you. Boy, you binged it right in on that red point. Asry, what I really liked about what you did was you've got this wonderful smile. There's 3 of us grinning here, and now you had Hannah grinning because you were really being positive and making her feel good in the receiving of it. So that's very positive. The introduction, I'm just going to scoot off a little bit. The introduction that you sent me, and I didn't have a lot of time because I stepped in short notice, but your introduction of yourself would be about why your role today would serve you. So then we would know where you were coming from. So why did it matter to you that you learned to do evaluations, and what do you hope to deliver today to your speaker? Would be your personal introduction, but that's an aside. You had 2 minutes of praise, and then you got into your ideas for improvement as the green light came up, which meant that it rushed you through those wonderful ideas you had about where she could be doing the dialogue. You might want to think in terms of content, yes, and all of the wonderful things, but maybe give a little more time to the improvement and ideas as well, because you had great ones. But you left her with a smile on her face. You praised her. You're looking forward to more. That's the great idea of an evaluation. Thank you so much, Asry. Our next evaluator is Raam Lakhanpal, and he is evaluating Bindhu Joseph. Another challenge because of the long speech, but the 3-minute evaluation still stands. Raam says that he welcomes the evaluation process because it allows oneself an opportunity. So that oneself, I imagine, is Raam and also Bindhu and also the audience to reflect upon oneself. So we'll all be reflecting towards transformations, which may be necessary, and that is conducive for betterment. Help me welcome Raam to evaluate Bindhu.
Madam GE, and in particular, Toastmaster Bindhu, what an attention grabber you had. You had me going in circles. I said, when is the Antihero going to fit all this thing you're going to speak about for this length of time? And whether you will be able to retain what's necessary in that. Remember, between 8 and 9 or about 10 seconds, that is the retention of a human being's brain. After that time, it drifts away. But what you did well was 2 things that I thought in particularly very good. One was you brought people back all the time by a question without an answer, but leaving the question in one's mind. as to what you're talking about for you to ponder about. What are you pondering about? You say, oh, what is today like weather-wise, as an example? And people ponder and the mind is affixed there. So you had the middle, the beginning, the middle, the end, very, very nicely. The questions I like as well. I was wondering when that question is going to come up, the anti-hero. And you did quite well in fitting it in around the baby about the middle portion, saying the hero is this. Then all of a sudden, Lucky is one of the lucky ones that answered your question. And the other one was Mrinal. The Lucky was answering particularly that, but you put a twist at the mural. How about the contrast? What is it that you don't like about your hero? That is what I was looking out for in the title. And I think the title finally came through as to what you meant about your speech. And you went on using, as I said earlier, those hooks. Those hooks are done so well. And whenever you felt that there's an energy level that's maybe going down a little bit, you brought it back up again, bringing it up. Listen, guys, I am here. I'm serious. I'm here, a message to deliver. You had a body language that was very, very good. I thought the eye contact was good as well, looking at the camera that encompasses everybody else. Of course, the vocal variety was there, and you had a speak structure that you worked so hard in building up to the level. And your word choices were really bang on. And the conclusion was there as well, not as pronounced as I would like it to be. You used some political metaphors here about Kamala Harris from the South there, but may I suggest, Kamala Harris, maybe you should give her some lessons about how to speak. Democrats will like it, Republicans will not. She gets stuck in talking about the same thing for 5 minutes. Zoom presence, the only thing I would say about the Zoom presence is that your hand gestures comes about here, not visible all the time. But in the majority of the cases, it was good. Great body language. I enjoyed it. I'm sure people here, they all enjoyed the manner in which you delivered a very challenging, but very questionable type of thing in saying, what is this negativity or the contrast? Great job, Bindhu. You took a lot of time developing it and you did a wonderful job. And I do want to see what great other goodies you have. Thank you, Bindhu, to deliver that speech. Back to you, Madam G.
Thank you. Wow, you covered a lot of ground in that time and you saw that red and you wound it up. And hopefully you and Bindhu will get together if there's expansion to be done there. Very serious, studious, sincere. You're always sincere. And you're really wanting to give value. That's always very clear. I'm just going to challenge you to bring in some personal joy with that as well. I know that's always your challenge. Always your challenge. It's okay to smile. Yes. Let me see a smile. See, you can do it.
Yes,
so
it
we
can
want
be
to have
done.
some fun as well. So thank you so
course.
much. Yeah, no, you do a really good job. You're serious, you're really caring, and you nailed it right down. So beautifully done. Thank you, Raam.
Welcome.
I believe we need the timing, please. Timer of the evaluations.
General Evaluator, thank you. The leadership evaluator was Toastmaster Banerjee, and she used 3 minutes and 29 seconds. Our first speech evaluator, Toastmaster Kenneth, 1 minute 59 seconds. Our second evaluator, Toastmaster Asry, 3 minutes. Our third and final evaluator, Toastmaster Raam, 3 minutes and 45 seconds. That's the timer's report, Madam General Evaluator.
Thank you very much. If you can prepare the poll, and we'll go ahead and get the report from the grammarian and then come back to the results or the poll even at that point. You're very clear and you've sorted out the exceptions and you're efficient. Well done. Oh, there's our best evaluator, effort evaluator. If everyone can take a quick vote. And while you're getting that results, which you could maybe put in the chat for us, please, Vivian, that would be appreciated. So thank you for your wonderful work as timer today. Grammarian Momad Asif Sayed, if you could please give us your report as the grammarian today. Asif.
Thank you, Madam G. So the word devote was used by Raam and Bindhu. And a few of the places where I could see incorrect usage of English would be, he was always saying, he always said. At the club meeting, in club meetings, having a good knowledge, has a good knowledge, that would be correct. What is to do with this story? What does this have to do with the story? One word which is being used, I would just like to add the meaning to it. How to build up a short story. The build up is more towards an action which is continuously growing in action. So it's like, building up your anger or building up the frustration. So it would be better to say how to construct a short story. That would be better. Some good usage of words, English was govern, anecdote, injected, resolution, and some of the phrases were in no uncertain terms. It took us ages to reach. And with a shrink, a dime and a penny. Dysfunctional family. Some of the other good words which I heard were eccentric, stranded. So pretty good usage of words were there. So back to you, Madam G.
Thank you, Asif. I'm just going to give you a quick little evaluation as well while I'm at it. You're effective, you're always organized, efficient, and your pace is so that we have no problem with any accent or understanding. And that's great. Now, I did notice that I think you've made paper notes of what you wanted to report on as well, except this is how we saw you. The review in general, and this is the grammar that I heard. So I would pick it up. That paper can go up right in front of you as long as it's not in front of the camera. And nobody will know because here I'm reading my paper. Thank you so much, Asif.
Thank you.
And thank you to our Sergeant at Arms who is running the scheduling here so beautifully. I haven't tried that one. Okay, we come to the point of my evaluation of the meeting. I'm really impressed with how we get started on time always. It's critical, the 2-minute warning, and we didn't get very chattery this morning, but it's a really valuable time. That early time is valuable, not only to make sure we've got all the details straight, but it's valuable to be able to share and get chatting. So come prepared. Kajjora, I was so really impressed. You were well-paced and professional in opening up the meeting, and you've done a wonderful job of getting everybody spotlighted as we needed to go. We moved into Mrinal as the Toastmaster of the day. Always that smile and the enthusiasm. You're the real deal of personal joy, and that is really important. I have here servant written out in capitals and quote, simply because many of us, because it was the theme as well, servant probably needs a little more time to be given to it, servant. So a little more, because every time it came up, I kept thinking, oh yeah, and I would understand it after the point. So in enunciation, pronunciation, servant, make sure it's a little more clearly spoken. That's for everyone. I'll come back to the Toastmaster of the day, but for the toast, Paramjeet, you had prepared a wonderful introduction. It's one of my pet peeves that we come to the meetings with an introduction that means something for the task at hand and the subject at hand. And I was pleased with that. And I loved it. I am your servant. Take some time with that. I am your servant. And that idea was the whole theme and could have really been brought out. And again, that's where I would have liked to. I am your servant, because I needed to hear it clearly. Thank you. The evaluators I've already looked after. The introductions I've talked about. Let me see where I am next. Toastmaster of the day. Are you ready, Mrinal?
Yes, I am ready.
You are ready. You already know I love you. I love that smile, that energy, and you're just ready to roll. There were things that are behind the scenes where you get organized that are really critical. I found, like, when I'm doing my general evaluation, I lay out my whole agenda so I can just go right straight through it. And you might find the same thing useful. Yes, there's this agenda, but to transfer that over to what you need to say is useful. It's useful. It takes a little bit of time, but then you don't have to worry about making things up. Now, you had a wonderful theme of the day, of course, and you delivered that. When it came time for Marianna to speak, there was that disconnect between, oh, the evaluator was looking to give the objectives. So there was that confusion. Later on, you started to get better into the rhythm. And again, with having it done out this way, you would automatically call for the evaluator to give the objectives. There'd be no confusion. If you're going to take it and use it as part of the introduction, then that person needs to know. Because there we had Marianna started her speech, the interruption, oh, am I not supposed to give that evaluation? No, it isn't. And then Marianna is left as a speaker, interrupted and having to start over again. So that is not okay. That would have been all behind. The evaluator, by the way, gets to evaluate Marianna. You need to just watch your timing and yes, have your little segue, but you stopped and you were so blown away with Marianna's speech that you couldn't help yourself and you started evaluating it and carry on. That's not your job. You might say, wow, that was wonderful. Thank you. Give your segue and into the next part of the meeting because that's the timing that's required. So you kind of stole the thunder on the evaluator for poor Marianna, or the poor evaluator. And the general confusion. You did get it smoothed out as we moved along. Introductions. I know people will send you the introductions and they might, you can work with them to get it straight. The objectives come first and then the introduction to the speech. Because the introduction to the speech is like the barker at the fair that says, come on in, and gets all wound up. That's what the purpose of the introduction is to have us ready for how to listen to the speech. So if you do that rah stuff first, then you go, okay, and it's going to be 5 to 7 minutes and the purpose of the blah, blah, it kind of bursts that bubble. So always the objective first, then the rah introduction that you work with people to say, come on, let's get a better introduction going so people know how to listen. You introduced Azim. And then you said you would want to say, help me welcome Azim as our speaker, help me welcome. So you would do that, but you said, back to you. And there was no name. Uh-oh, there was a little hesitation, confusion. Like, are we going back to Toastmaster of the day? No, you're the Toastmaster of the day. Oh, it's not back to you. Help me welcome Azim as he talks about or gives his speech and then the title again. So the title at the very last thing is really important. It came to the introduction of Raam. I got confused again, because you do some chatter in between, which is not required. And I don't know why I got confused, but I wrote down, oh, I got confused again here. Just get on with your job and share just a little bit for segues in between as appropriate. That's what brought you then to the break. Oh, well, it's time for the break. What shall we do? You're the Toastmaster. You're controlling the time. You figure it out. So we have this little conversation between you and Brahm, and you come up with a 1-minute break. What can we do in 1 minute? Nothing. I can't even run across to the house for a nature call. We're either doing the break or we're not doing the break. And if you're going to have a break, have a minimum of 5 minutes, because 1 minute and 2 minutes does nothing. I don't have a bathroom out in my garage. I think that was my main notes, but overall, Mrinal, such a joy whenever you're involved in leading anything, because you bring your personal joy, your smile and your enthusiasm, and you get right into it. And that's probably a soul brother happening. Thank you. I'm going to hand this back over to our Toastmaster of the day, I do believe. I forget whether I go to the Toastmaster. There's my evaluation screwed up. I'm going to go to the Toastmaster anyhow, and you can handle getting over to the president. Thank you, Marianna.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much for your feedback. I think big feedback is the breakfast for champions, and we all agree for that. And today I can see from each speaker, each evaluator serve our club from their heart, not from mine. And one thing, at Leadership Speak, the premier advanced Toastmaster Club, members appreciate open culture, trust each other, collaborate to empower each other, and share success with each other. Join us, we explore invaluable lessons gained in becoming better self-directed leaders by pursuing servant leadership. Now, I want to call upon our PR Master, Mary, to present the certificate of winners. Today, winners, I urge you, please spotlight Mohammad Azimuddin. All the best for today's best speaker of the day, and Raam Lakhanpal. Wow. Hearty congratulate for the best effort evaluator of the day. So I just congratulate to both of them, Mohammad Azimuddin and Raam Lakhanpal. Well done. With that, I just want to hand over the podium. So can it possible to highlight it, spotlight it, both of them, Raam Lakhanpal and Mohammad Azimuddin? And I urge you, please everyone, unmute yourself and clap for both two. Great, great, great. Well done, Toastmaster Mohammad Azimuddin and Raam Lakhanpal. Great contribution for the meeting today. And it's a great example of servant leaders. Thank you, both of them. So with that note, I just want to hand over the podium to our club president, Brahm.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster of the Day, fellow members of Leadership Speak, and guests. Thank you so much for being here today. I want to especially congratulate Mohammad Azimuddin for a phenomenal presentation. I think everyone agreed, and maybe you saw in the comments, in the comment box, how people loved his presentation. So I would ask Mohammad Azimuddin if you can expand that presentation half an hour, maybe an hour, and we will do it on another day, not during the meeting time, and have you present that. That was like phenomenal. So thank you so much for your presentation. I would also like to commend Bindhu. What an unusual speech that was, and how she weaved it and then brought out what the three things were, that anti-hero or not anti-hero, you know, there is something that can have us create the extraordinary out of the mundane or the ordinary. And there were great speeches by Marianna, Burka, and as well as Hannah, and so on. Thank you very much, everyone, for being here. I know we are running out of time, so I will adjourn this meeting officially. We can stop the recording, but if the guests are here, I'd love to speak to the guests. Thank you very much for being here. Can stop the recording. Sergeant at Arms.